This is the Red All Over reaction show to yesterday's 3-1 loss against Lincoln City. Another devastating result. So we're going to reflect on yesterday's game and then we're going to look forward to this weekend as we welcome a Leyton Orient to Oakwell. So let's get stuck into it. So, Dean, a very disappointing result, sort of coming off the back of an improved performance against Peterborough, a clean sheet as well. Felt like something to build on, especially given the amount of changes we made in that Peterborough game as well to come out winners in it. To come back to a more full strength side with one eye on Lincoln from that game as well. Worked hard to get back into it at one apiece, and then in about 3 minutes, threw all that 60 minutes worth of hard work away.
Yeah, absolutely. A very disappointing outcome in the end. Yeah, I mean, going into the game, we were all feeling reasonably confident, apart from Craig, who never feels confident anyway. But we were thinking, right, okay, maybe the Port Vale away game was a complete aberration and just one of those things, as it were, and we come back and kept a clean sheet, as you say, third time this season, and all was looking good, and people had stepped up, against Peterborough, and so we were reasonably confident, I think. But it all got undone by our normal frailty at the back in the end. I thought in the first half, for the first 20, 25 minutes, we played pretty well. We played good football, sharp passing. The movement was quite good. People were finding little pockets of space and stuff without really creating anything dramatic. And then obviously Lincoln got back into it, scored a goal, and then they took charge really. But we came out second half, and I thought, we obviously we could possibly, get something out of the game the way we were playing, and Lincoln were backpedaling, and we looked at it. Faruja made a good impact in the first few minutes of the half, put a couple of good balls in, and I thought, hello, we're on here. And then, of course, Blandy managed to combine with Phillips down the right, put a great ball in, exactly where you want it to be for DKD in the 6-yard area, and 1-1. And I'm thinking at that point, we're going on here. We're going on because we were so far on top at that particular time. And then to concede those goals, I mean, I can't believe how bad they were. I mean, the first goal that we conceded wasn't clever, because we were stood around watching what was going on. Hackett finished it exceptionally well, and I can't argue with that at all. But when you look at the positional play of Cleary, Watson, and I think Connell, they were just sort of statues stood there, not sensing any sort of danger at all. And that's been a problem all season. As far as I'm concerned, we don't defend with desire and passion to keep that ball out of the net, and that's what we lack as a team, in my opinion. If they showed half as much passion to defend as they showed to score goals, we might be in a much better position than we're in. But going on to concede that goal was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it was kids' stuff, frankly. And then the third goal, 2 or 3 minutes later, wasn't much better, and then the game was done. I'm afraid there was no coming back from that. Lincoln just played the game out, managed it well, and we really didn't have much chance after that.
Yeah, it did feel, Andy, sort of building on what Dean was saying there, it did feel like we'd done all the hard work to get back into the game, but the way in which you were just undone was, as Dean said there, just schoolboy things. I don't know why, but there seemed to be a lot of complaining of that second goal. I don't know if the player's offside or anything, but there seems to be a lot of either arguing between the players or towards the linesman
Mm.
about something. Because I didn't understand how one long ball from a goalkeeper and three or four of their players were already in behind.
It was absolutely crazy. There were a number of things, really. We did start off all right and matched them, but they could have scored a few goals. They were through one-on-one, and Cooper made a good save, really good save on one-on-one. And De Givini, it's his man that's gone past him, and he's trying to run. Then all of a sudden, he cuts across behind him. And I think just try and catch him at the side. If you run behind him, he's gone. You can't get anywhere near him if you then run across behind him. So I think that were a bit weak. But the goal itself, it was like a mixture of comedy of errors and silliness because, when it was first over on their right wing on our left, we got Watson who slipped and fell on his backside, got up and were trying to twist and turn. The ball was played across to the guy that scored it. What's his name again, Dean? I've forgotten his name.
Hackett.
Barrett.
Hackett.
It's what?
Hackett.
Hackett. And he'd been stood. He'd been stood at the side of Ray's Cleary. And they just started to run forward and Cleary just let him. And it's called gawping. Instead of going back with his man or somebody else coming and covering him, they're just gawping and say, "Oh, where's he going?" And not doing anything about it. And Dean's got it right. He picked it out. He's on his own. How can it be? He's on his own. Lovely curl shot. He put it in, and they took over. They were quicker than us. They were sharper to it. They seemed to want it more. We seemed to be so lethargic. I can't remember how many times I shouted at the telly, "It's us that's losing. Stop mucking about at the back and slowing it down, and wait. Get on with it." And then second half come, and Dean's exactly right. I thought that Ferrugia did well when he come on. In the first half, though, you're talking schoolboy football. I'll tell you this. I watch Noah play under 11s football every Saturday and Sunday morning. And he tells me, and I think Vimmel needs to listen to it or needs to listen to under 11s because he tells me if you're going to shoot, aim for the far post. Shoot towards the far post because if it's not on target, somebody could always pile in and put it in or own go. Because what Vimmel's not doing is in a great place to shoot a number of times now, last night being one of them, slices it wide at the near post. Don't aim for the near post. Hit it across, because out could happen then. And then unlucky, put one across for DKD and, hit it first time and goalkeeper just were it right position, so, we're able to put it back. So that were a shame, but it's what it was. We come out and we did a lot better, as Dean said, did a lot better. And fairly, I thought we had a chance of getting back into it, and indeed we did. And it were a good move when we got back into it. And I thought, flipping heck, I'm not sure we deserved to be drawing, but drawing we were, so that's all right. And then again, you ought to talk about schoolboy football. I know when I'm watching schoolboy football, they always tell the kids as soon as they've scored, now's the most dangerous time. You've just scored. Watch what you're doing straight away. Watch what you're doing, and they need to learn from under 11s football because they score. They pass it back to the goalkeeper. He leathers it forward, and as you've said, it's not even schoolboy football because they know better than that. All of a sudden, they're just letting them go, and I can't get my head round. If you're a defender and somebody comes running, do what other defenders do for other teams. Balk them. Don't let them run past you. Balk them. Get it way. You don't have to foul them. Just get it way. Referee's unlikely to get it, so just balk them. That's not complicated. I'm not going to pick on referees because you were right to book Luca Connell, and sadly now he's going to miss the game. Although some people are happy with it, I'm personally not. He's going to miss the Leyton Orient game for booking because it were a daft dive. Now I hope that's going to go some way to me getting my peace medal on Friday. On my unwavering support of referees, but if I don't get it, then I'll take my bat and ball home and say we're not having World Cup in Barnsley. So, and then and then you tell me what we're going on. So, I mean, with that bad on iFollow, I don't know what you're watching on iFollow. they were still showing our goal when you heard a crowd run. I thought, what's going off? And we didn't even see their goal until it were replayed because they were busy replaying our goals. That's how quick it was. So that were a bit sad. And then, the third goal, it's we've got an assistant coach in Keogh who are a good defender and supposed to be a defender, and we defend like Wallis. Balls come over, ball comes in, and Dejivin heads it. Instead of heading it out or heading it away, head it away from goal, heads it straight up in air. And that's not right good, but that's what he does. And then they all, again, go up. And their player just takes it down and we go up in. Everybody's gawping apart from Watson, who does the wrong thing by coming across to try and do something, at least do something. And leaves two players completely on their own. Their player just dinks it across here, get it net. Two players unmarked. And you think, this is Fred Carno stuff. Charlie Caroli would be proud of these. Something's got to change because it's real clownish stuff. Take it from me, who's, a notable clown. Take it from me. It's clownish stuff. So it became embarrassing. And at 3-1, we're diddling about with ball back. We're diddling about. You're thinking, try and get back into it. You've thrown it away. And it's like, it were too much effort. They were quicker. They were stronger. When they were a 50-50 ball, they were going to come away with it. And they invariably did. And we had just short of 70% possession. It were ridiculous. But, the real stat is 3-1. Don't matter how much possession you get if you don't do it, and we didn't.
It's true. So, yep.
I'm gutted from last night, as you can probably tell. It's a good job. Said it a week ago. It's a good job that this were a day after it went instant reaction. We done an instant reaction show straight after the game on this. God, dear me. God.
Dean, obviously we've been saying now for most of the season now, saying sort of we know we've got defensive frailties, and sort of it almost seems that every time that we feel like we might have turned a corner, which was a clean sheet against Peterborough. Every time it feels like we've turned a corner, we immediately do a U-turn on that and seem to go back to as old ways, because it's been under 3 different head coaches now over the last 3 to 4 years, and we're still shipping the same type of goals of it's almost naivety and individual errors and mistakes, like the header from Mal for the third goal to just head it in that position, basically to the feet of a striker. And obviously the second goal with how disorganised we appear to be from what should be the most organised part of a game of they've just kicked off, so everyone's basically still in their shape and position. What can we do to fix it now? Because we're on as third manager, we've had multiple combinations of defenders. What is there left to do?
Well, I mean, I think it's got to be down to personnel because, as I said earlier, I don't think bar and Shepherd and Roberts, I don't think we have players who have that desire to put themselves on the line, to do everything that is possible to stop the ball coming into the box or clear it when they're there or block shots. I don't think we've got the people to do that, the players to do that, because definitely Earl isn't that player. Mile isn't that player. Rooney definitely isn't that player. I'm not really sure Watson is. He's a steady boy and plays well with his feet and so on and so forth. But does he have that real sense of danger that's unfolding in front of him to do something about it? And I think the only way we're going to solve this is personnel change, and that's really difficult for this club. I mean, I think we lack strength generally as well. I think we lack physical strength. I think we lack athleticism at times. And you look at, say, Phillips in a holding midfield role, never. He just doesn't have that strength and gets knocked off the ball. He didn't play badly, in fairness, a lot of the time when he was on the ball, but out of possession, it was terrible. So I think, come January, whatever else we do in the market, we have to have a stronger spine to the side with a commanding centre back, preferably a commanding central defensive midfield player, and an option of somebody big, athletic. We won't call him target man because you don't like calling him target man.
Call it what you want, Dean. You call it what you want. You've earned the right to say what you want, Dean.
Somebody who gives us an option, and Andy's right. I mean, had we had that big guy, and it could have been Farrell for all I know. I don't know. Why not give him a go? Where you can launch the ball, where you can get over their press, and try and get yourselves back in the game, because that didn't happen. So somewhere along the line, we've got to get more physical strength, some know-how as well, because from time to time, Shepherd and Roberts aren't going to be playing. And with the rest of it, all you can do with the rest of the players, I mean, I don't know whether Georgie Gent is a good defender or he isn't, because I've only seen him play wing back. But this is making the difference between us being a mid-table side and one that's, potentially challenging for promotion. I mean, we've got an array of good young attacking players who can do different things, like Cleary, like Kelly, like DKD, even Yoganathan, although his miss was pretty bad. But we've got these players, and a lot of other mid-table sides have got good players, but they fall apart because they can't defend properly, or they can't finish chances, whichever. But in my book, we're not going to get out of mid-table. Even a born optimist like me, we're not going to get out of mid-table unless we get more strength in that side, because this division demands it.
It does seem that a bit, Andy, when you sort of look at Lincoln and the way in which they sort of defensively having players like Adam Jackson in there, Sonny Bradley, of players who they're not flashy, they're not fancy, they're not brilliant on the ball or stuff. They're just good at defending, and I think that's a lot of sometimes what you need in this division is players that are just actually good at doing the very basics from a defensive standpoint and letting everyone else worry about being flashy and starting play and all this kind of thing.
I mean, just think about it. Sonny Bradley would Sonny Bradley let somebody just go past him without balking him? Would Sonny Bradley head the ball straight up in air and then see what happens? No, he wouldn't, because he's a defender, and that's what we need. Defend. Miles got some, and a lot of people has gained on him. He's got some skills. He can carry the ball out well. He comes forward with the ball well. That's not a back four though. That's wing backs and a back so that somebody can cover behind. It's not a fullback. That's one thing, and it's not. Sometimes you've got to fit it. I don't think he's fitting in this system because he ain't got that strength. He just ain't got that physical strength to simply get in the way. We didn't have much choice last night. There weren't a lot of choice knocking about with people injured and coming back and what have you. But Dean nailed it for me. It's the athleticism. They're just a step slow. They're just a step slower in so many times, and it's that desire. And some of that comes. I don't know. I don't think it's about fitness. I think it's about desire and athleticism. And if you haven't got it, you need to get players that have got it. We haven't got bad players, but they're not. But they're playing badly in too many spells. That's what it is. And that it's got to change. Either it changes because the coaching and the tactics change and get more out of the players that can play, or if they can't play in the way that is needed, then don't play. Simple, don't play. Get players that'll play. I do think Georgie Gent could make a difference, in honesty, Dean, because he's a strong lad, and he will put somebody on the backside. He don't muck about it. He's not going to stand at back and just go up and watch them. Let him run. He'll put them down. He'll go for them and he'll balk them and get under them. And he's good going forward. But I do like his tackling ability. He likes a slide tackle, George. He likes running at side room. and then getting a slide tackling and taking summit, usually at ball, but sometimes both, sometimes not ball, but don't care. So it's I think it can make a difference, but we got to make sure there is not we can't have him out for much longer. The last thing we need is for him to have a recurrence or an injury that keeps him out again, because he could be crucial to us in that full, because he's a strong fullback, and then we're not playing people out of position. You
Yeah, it does feel like that could be a real option, Dean, sort of defensively, to then sort of release players like Earl to be more of a centre half rather than a full. Because I think between Earl and Ogbeta, we don't. Ogbeta obviously played on the left hand side when there's no one in front of him who sort of patrolled that left hand side on his own for the first half of the season. And Earl, as much as his numbers look good when he plays fullback, so in terms of actually assists and contributing, it's more of it's almost like a bit of a waste of some of his size and stature to be out wide, because he don't really have the turn of pace that Georgie Gent does, and also is not is just more useful in the middle rather than playing out wide.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, our better at the start of the season was, interviewed a couple of times saying, "I'm really happy that I've got the freedom to go and cut inside and attack in the system that Connor's playing." But since the probably 7 or 8 games in, he's really had to hang back and play a proper fullback role, and I'm not sure how good he is at that, to be honest. So
It's been forced to that, Dean, because Cleary started
yeah,
to play on
absolutely,
the
yeah,
left wing.
yeah.
We were
Um,
overloaded on the right, and he could go up and down on the left. So,
and he
but
didn't.
I'm with you. I'm not
It
sure how
didn't
good he is as a
look.
fullback.
I don't think his body language, when I've seen him play purely as a fullback behind Cleary, has looked terribly clever. Like, I don't really want to do this in this way. I want to have the freedom that I had early doors. So that, I mean, maybe I'm straying off the point here, but I'm hopeful that Georgie Gent can stay fit. I'm not sure he can play Saturday, Tuesday when he's been out for 9 months. So, and I don't think Earl is an option, having seen him get absolutely skinned at Notts County earlier on this season in the Pizza Cup. And I'm not a big fan of Earl's, as you well know. I don't think he senses danger, and I don't think he shows that level of desire to stop the opposition scoring, because I've seen him stood around quite a lot when we've conceded goals, looking a bit bemused. So
He's not alone. I look at us and bemused and all.
well, yeah, confused, bemused,
Yeah.
whichever way. But yeah, I I don't think we're going to be able to fix this necessarily in house. This is my point, I think, and whether we've got the wherewithal to recruit a Sonny Bradley or somebody similar, and only Norwood, or that kind of strength of player in the centre of midfield, and and a biggish striker like we'll be seeing on Saturday playing for Orient, who we probably could and should have got. But yeah, it's a tricky one.
And did you think Connor's starting to come under fire a bit? Because I know yesterday I saw a lot of quite a few
Yeah.
more people on social media saying that it's starting to, like, when we start asking questions of Connor, because I know we can sort of look at a transfer window. Some people say he's been backed, others will say he's not. I mean, we have gone and brought in wingers for the first time in ages, seeing as we've switched to the formation that he wanted to play. So in that regard, he's been backed. Personally, I think it takes more than one window to fix absolutely everything. You're not going to fix everything all at once. So he's still doing it like part and parcel with um, like half his team, half not his team. But at the same time, there's a few things that he has done that has raised questions during games, and also sort of in-game management that I appreciate is still young and learning as as a manager, those kind of things. But there's a couple of things that seem a little bit more obvious to me than others. Do you think he should start being questioned or should come under some sort of scrutiny and criticism at this point?
Of course, I think every manager, no matter, even if it were only his first game, yeah, of course they should. Should always have some scrutiny and what have you, and give him something to think about. And look at it, he's been doing it for a bit now, and the cesspit there is social media. It's just, a number of people want him out. That social media want him out, and I just think sometimes it just all gets ridiculous. We can't keep changing manager. Not changing managers every 10 months. We want to change managers every 3 months. It just gets a little bit daft. So for me, you can't do it in one transfer window. I think people saying, or some people saying, oh, he's been let down. I'm not entirely sure that's right. I think if we'd have got a striker over the line, not entirely sure, because you can't have it always. You can't have Connor being praised at the start of the season because he's put his mark on the incoming transfers, and so he's getting praised for it. Then when it all starts going a bit Pete Tong and what have you, which was where Tracy is tonight watching Pete Tong. See, I think it all, Josh. I think it all. All that you see.
You're wasted.
I know. When it all goes a bit daft, you can't say, oh, he's not been back to, so he's had naught to do with it, and it's all. It's all Sorma's fault. You can't have it both ways. I think he's had an input, and I think it was shown that he wanted wingers. We got wingers. We're only playing one winger, basically. He didn't want wing backs, so we've moved on. However many is it? About 3 wing backs or something like that. I know O'Keefe's only loaned and what have you, but he wants to bring fullbacks in. To bring fullbacks in. So he's been given some tools. There's some missing, but and he is new, and it's not easy. There's a lot of experienced coaches about. Scubala's an experienced coach. He can do changes in game that can make a difference. He knows he knows what he's doing. I'm not saying Connor doesn't, but it's going to take him time, and it certainly needs a few transfer windows to want to get rid of him now. For me personally, and people entitled to their own opinion, is balmy. We don't need to be getting anybody that thinks that, in my view, and it's only my view, is balmy if they're wanting him out, or the ones that want him out. He's got a game January, he's got a game next summer. Just stick. We can't keep changing it. Apart from, for me, it's not just, some people say, oh, it's the financial thing. We can't afford to get rid of him. I don't want to get rid of him. I don't care whether we can afford to or not. Stick with him. If you pick somebody, stick with him. He started the season off really well. He needs to find his feet more, and he needs to be backed in the window by getting players in. Not always easy in January. We got some players in, and next summer get the players in that we need. Don't leave it till last day. Get some players in that we need, and that's going to turn it around, and get some fire in the bellies. Whether or not, other people are saying Richard Keogh, maybe he should be on his toes because he's a defensive coach, ain't doing a right good job. And truthfully, I don't think he is doing a right good job. We got, for want of a better word, we got rid of Martin Devaney because they didn't think he was doing a right good job. Well, he's not he's not doing a bad job at Port Vale. They are bottom, but he's not doing a bad job against us. So whether they need to, whoever you are, whether it's a player, a coach, whoever it is, you got to earn your keep. I don't think it's that he's not been backed. I think he's got a bit to learn, says me. He's got a bit to learn, but he's got to think about how to make in-game changes. And there's been a couple of times recently when we've had a pretty decent bench that could make changes, but not up front. We haven't got up front. It's pretty. We've got Farrell, and I'm with Dean. I think he can't do worse than some of the stuff that we're doing up front because we look as pappy as hell up there. A tall lad that's going to put his sen about has got to be better than just pappying about doing note.
I don't know. I did watch Clement Rodriguez last season, who was a tall lad and put himself about. So I think there can be.
But there's one thing you've got to take into account as well, Josh. You've got to be a footballer.
So I have seen people that are tall and just run about a bit, and that is not a pretty sight either sometimes.
No, not run about, put the sens about.
Well, that's what Clement did.
He didn't put his centre about at all. He just ran about and he put his
He
centre
had
about.
best running stats. It'd be a
But that's not
brilliant
putting anybody on the
triathlete.
backside, is it? And letting somebody know you're there.
I
That's just
think
running about, getting a bit of training in.
I think he'd be
If
an
you get
elite
somebody
level
that'll
triathlete.
get your shoulder in, get your centre in, get a bit of balking in, let them know you're there. All that's what you have to do as a striker. Not be nice. No, look at all the strikers that have made it really big. They're not nice. Look at Shearer. He weren't nice. He were horrible to play against. That's what you need. Not somebody that's nice to play against. Somebody that's horrible to play against.
Yeah.
Weren't Clement, that's for sure.
That is correct. Dean, what do you think Connor's made a little bit, almost like not peak too soon, because that's not the right way in which one's phrased, but obviously that first 10 games almost set the bar a little bit too high because everyone before that sort of looked at the window, looked at the fact that we'd got Connor in, a new coach. Obviously, he comes with a history and a legacy at this club already, and we weren't. I don't think no one at the start of the season expected miracles. I mean, I predicted us to finish somewhere in around the top 10. I think a lot of us on this show were reluctant to put us in the top six just before the season. But then obviously the season starts and we got off,
Yeah.
we set sort of like a house on fire. And it's almost like expectations and immediately shift to be like, oh, right, okay, actually, we've picked up 15 from 15 or whatever it was, 16 points from 18. And it's almost like expectations shift a bit more. But I think when you sit and reflect, I mean, I think I predicted us 10th and we're sat 10th. So at the minute, we're trending exactly where I expected us to be. But at the same time, like I do want a little bit more at this moment in time.
Well, yeah, I think as fans, we all do want a little bit more than mid-table, where you can't particularly see us improving massively. Yeah, I think it's a very good point you make, actually, that our expectations were raised, but having played in this division for a long time, there are an awful lot of good managers who are smart, clever, and you look at people like Nigel Clough. And wherever he is, I can't remember, Mansfield, that's right. And the guy at Burton, again, his name is escaping me just for the minute, but
Your age, Dean.
yeah, I know. But I mean, the division is full of smart managers. So if Barnsley turn up and play a completely different way to what everybody's expecting, then we can take people by surprise. And I think we did take people a bit by surprise because this was a change to the way Barnsley had been playing for about the last 5 years, not playing three at the back with high wing backs and so on. And I think you can take people a bit by surprise, but you very quickly get worked out, by very experienced coaches. And I think that's probably what happened. But I agree with you, Josh. I think, my expectation, I mean, as I keep saying, I'm a born optimist, but optimist, and I'd love us to do better than we're doing. And I think maybe hung by his own petard might be a suitable expression in terms of how we started. And yeah, I think Andy's absolutely spot on. He's learning. He's a young coach, and he's finding out about things. And he has inherited quite a lot of players who maybe you'd look at and say, well, I'm not sure they really are the sort of players who are, if you're going to play four at the back, you're going to have four very good players at the back in this division. I'm not sure he had that. I'm not sure he realised whether he had it or he didn't have it. He brought Richard Keogh in, and that doesn't seem to solve the problem, but it made sense at the time because for 2 years before, as you rightly say, Josh, we've been bad. Ever since we lost Kitchen, Thomas, and Anderson all at one go, and we've never been able to replace them fully. So yeah, I think it's a bit unfair. I think, but this is the modern way, isn't it? Lose 4 games and we want the coach out. And the problem is, you don't know on social media that is rightly the cesspit, as you describe it, Andy. they could be 14-year-old kids who,
Or
who could,
71-year-olds.
yeah, well, yeah, there'll be a few of those as well who just are influenced by, people saying these sort of things. But I mean, I'd be horrified if we start trying to change another coach because it just hasn't worked. And you've got to, give the opportunity to Hurricane, who has got a good background. He's a bright guy. He's one of the hardest working coaches probably in the division. Maybe he might not be able to always see the wood for the trees, but to change coach at this kind of stage will be catastrophe, really.
I think the bit that makes me wonder, Dean, is that since Connor took over, when you look at the side of the pitch, there's only him up. Before that, we other coaches, head coaches, we've had two or three up. So you've got somebody shouting at the defence, where it's just Connor. Everybody else has sat down. For me, I would have liked such as Richard Keogh to be stood up as well, one at each corner of the technical area, once shouting at the defence and organising the defence and giving them telling them what they want, as well as Connor for midfield and say up front. And we've not got that. We've just got Connor who's trying to sort out all the team, all the 11. And if he's a defensive coach, be up and shout at the defence. If you're up and shouting at the defence, would they be stood? Would they be stood there like statues while they've scored their second goal? I would have thought not. Somebody shouting, "This is
So,
the time to be. This is the
yeah,
dangerous time. Get yourselves back. Get yourselves set up." I don't
yeah,
know. It can't all be on one person while other coaches are just sat down watching.
no,
That's not right.
I mean, I suppose it
Tom
depends on
Harben as well.
it depends on the way in which Connor wants to do it. If he's a bit like
Well, it's
come and
not
speak,
working. It's
if
not working
that's
defensively. Let's
no,
put it
that's
that way.
fair. That's fair. I'm assuming because as
yeah,
you said, like previously, it is sort of almost segmented off like that. I'm assuming that he just wants one coherent message, and if they do see something, it's almost like tell me and I'll tell them kind of thing. Is what I'd
Yeah.
imagine. You'd assume it would be.
I think largely, I think there's a rule, isn't there? There can only be one person in the box, um, and I think they've
Don't
or
know.
they've tried to reinforce that more this season. I don't know. I mean, I know what you say because even you look at the Prem games, and although they're only allowed one person in that area, coach's area, there's plenty leaping about. And if Keown had seen that defensive line was 10 yards in the wrong place, he just got out and screamed at him. I would have thought, but
I mean,
like
the
you
second
say,
one.
Josh, that's probably not how it's
Right, well,
managed.
Yeah, you'd assume that's. I think you're right, Andy. Like the way in which, if it were me, I'd do what you've said of almost like segment it off into like specialties in a way.
yeah.
But that I'm just, you'd assume the reason why not is due to that, or as Dean said,
Maybe it
Keogh,
is. In which
Richard Keogh
case I'm
wants no
talking
booking.
daft. If you're only allowed one up, then maybe I'm just talking
Oh, then
daft.
again,
Well,
you're supposed to say in your box, aren't you?
it
And have some.
it it doesn't seem to stop people doing it. That's what I'm saying. I think, I mean, that was just a simple instruction, wasn't it? You're playing against a fierce wind, and it's coming bombing at you. Where do you stand? I mean, that's not hard to work out, is it? And if the players can't work it out, the coach should have done.
You see, I
Exactly.
think you've both been right about where we'd finish up, and I thought we'd finish up somewhere between eighth and 10th, I think. But we're hoping after the start that we get into the
Mm,
playoffs. So as far as the actual positions concerned, they're not far off where I thought we could be, especially with games in hand. For me, it's the manner of how we're
mm,
in that position that we don't seem to. Sometimes we do, but too many times for me, we don't just seem to have that grit, that get into them, and that desire to do it. We
mm.
just, oh, we're nice footballers. Being nice don't win out. Look at Alan Shearer, don't win out. You got to be nasty. You got to have a bit of nastiness. Look at Roy Keane, have a bit of. I tell Noah because he plays out left wing. He just looks at me and he says, Roy and Ryan, Grandad, right? Because I say, when he's not got ball, be Roy Keane, and when you have got ball, be Ryan Giggs. So when he's got ball, he's like Ryan Giggs going down left wing. When he ain't got ball, he just looks. His mum says, Noah, stop it, stop it. And he looks at me and says, Grandad, I put him on his backside because he gets weighed in. And that's what you want, not just standing about. God, dear me. I've seen too many Barnsley players just running at side of them. Don't want another Scott Wiseman playing for us.
You're setting a terrible example for the younger generation.
Oh, I've
Absolutely.
been told.
I would,
I've been
I
told.
would, I would never advocate for such
Go
type
on.
of play.
Go on.
I would never be an
Yeah.
advocate for man
It has
before
been
ball.
mentioned. It has been mentioned by his mother. Dad, stop saying that. But, what can you do?
If it works, it works. Sometimes you got to bend the rules a bit in your favour when you can. Dean,
It's the
obviously,
Simcox way. I tell you, this is what. If you ask Noah what's the Simcox way, and he'll say, ball might get past me, man might get past me, but I'll do everything I can to make sure both don't.
No.
That's the Simcox way.
one
I'm
or
not
the
saying
other.
it's right, Josh. I'm not saying it's right. It's
No,
just
it's fine.
method. Just a method.
Yep, I think I agree with the method. The
Yeah, I know you
method
do.
is
I know you
the method
do.
is the method is well instilled. Dean, one thing in terms of I know a lot of people have been, well, not a lot, but I've seen a few people saying if this were Collins or Clark, there'd be a lot more sort of scrutiny and questions being asked of the coach. But my sort of rebuttal to that is, yeah, that's fine. But also, Connor's done this where we've not paid a transfer fee for any players, barring a nominal fee for Cleary and
Mm,
Patrick Kelly. I understand.
mm,
Daryl Clark spent £1 million
mm.
in that summer of signing DKD and also Georgie Gent. So I know as much as people are saying that, that's my one question. Being that we've not had really a marquee signing like we had DKD under Daryl Clark, where there was no real structure to the way in which we played, other than let's hope this 750 grand player can just bail us out at some point, as
Yeah.
as much as what it was under Daryl Clark. So I see what people are saying of almost like Orion's got like a longer length of rope than what other coaches do have, but at the same time, he hasn't spent a penny.
No, no, and that's really interesting and raises all sorts of other questions about the financial situation within the club as well. And certainly he hasn't spent very much money at all. And I think, he deserves a bit of length of rope, if you like. But for what he's given to this club and for the way he treats the fans and the community and the club and so on, he deserves that. And it's still sort of unknown as to whether he's going to be a really top coach. I suspect he will be eventually, but like Andy says, he's got a lot to learn still. He's one of the youngest in the league, and we mustn't sort of forget that. And I think, yeah, probably Clark and Collins didn't really have that connection, and never really came out and suggested in any way that Barnsley was important to either of them particularly. I mean, Collins has gone back to America, so he probably didn't want to come in the first place, maybe. And Clark's love is in Mansfield, and that's where his family are all from. So, yeah, I think Connor's a different kettle of fish in that sense, and he will get given more time, and there will be some social media because that happens with every single manager at every single club. They go 4 games lost, and that's it. Out. Get rid of the manager has been, because they know they can't get rid of the players because they can't get rid of the board. And there's only one real target that anybody's got within a club, and that's the poor old coach, who may or may not be responsible for the situation that they're in. But I'm a bit with you, Josh. I don't think. Yes, he's made some mistakes. Yes, he could learn a bit more about in-game management. Yes, he could probably take one or two more risks here and there, or whatever. But I think I don't think we should be turning against him. But it's inevitable. That's what will happen.
I mean,
My,
I've
my
probably
overriding thing, overriding thing, Josh and Dean, as there is a decent human being. I can remember not that long ago that my mate Smithy, he absconded. He absconded from hospital. He was supposed to be in hospital, and he made him let him go to match. He had to go straight back to hospital. Made him go to match, and Connor were there, sought him out in the Pontiac and presented him with a shirt. And that said an awful lot about him, that he could be, but don't have to be bothered, but he was bothered. Not only that, at Alan's funeral, he were there. He came. He came and showed his face and brought some players with him and what have you. And Alan's a fan. He were a fan. You don't have to. You don't have to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he did, and he showed that he were bothered. And I think sometimes, and like you said, you not always get things right. Sometimes you've got to somebody who's bothered. You've got to give them something. Give them something back. Give them some loyalty back. And I'll not forget him for what he did about Smithy, and it is it deserves as a decent human being to keep going for a bit, not got rid of. For goodness sake,
No, I agree. Like you said, he didn't have to do those things
nothing
at all. But as you said,
there are lots of other things behind the scenes that him and Jordan Plattman did as well. So
yeah,
that people don't know about. I'm not going to say.
Yeah, it was just a fantastic gesture from Connor and the club as well to do those things. Dean, looking forward then to the weekend, Leyton Orient, who are the second high scoring team in the league, but also the third high scoring team behind Huddersfield and Cardiff, but the second worst defence in the league. So scored 30, conceded 30. Only Plymouth have conceded more than them with 32, and Cardiff and Huddersfield have scored more than them. So one side that do not do 1-0 wins or 0-0 draws. They either win 4-0, lose 4-0, or against Cardiff, lose 4-3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've had quite a sort of mixed set of results, haven't they, over the last 6 weeks? And some of it is a little bit like they've been thumped in the cup by Salford. 4-0 when they had a pretty strong side out, more or less the first team. So that was a big surprise. They were thumped at Wickham, I think, off the top of my head. But more recently, they've also conceded 2 late goals, one to Blackpool and one to Luton on Saturday in the 90-plus minutes.
Last night for Luton, against Luton, 96th minute.
Yeah.
At home to Luton.
And I know it was the same with Blackpool because it was Ashley Fetcher who scored. So that this is remarkably similar to us. Could have had more points and have been thumped a couple of times and have a poor defensive record. So you would kind of think on those stats, Josh, that you're going to see a whole load of goals, which would almost certainly mean it'll be 0-0, but because that's the way it goes. But yeah, very, very mixed. They do score. I mean, Ballard's done tremendously well down there for a young lad on loan from Southampton. And they've got Connolly as well. Karoma started the season well, but he seems to spend most of his time on the bench now, and we could easily have had him. So yeah, I'm expecting quite a good game of football, to be honest. I think they're going to attack. I mean, we're at home. We need points. We're going to attack. I don't think they'll come and play a low block arrangement or even a mid block arrangement. I think they'll come and try and do it. Wellens is not that kind of manager. I see he's got his lad playing in centre mid as well, Charlie Wellens, who interestingly is 23 years old and has only played 22 professional games, which is quite remarkable, really. Don't know what sort of a player he is. So yeah,
you're 71, Dean, and you've not played any yet.
You don't know that.
Still time.
You
call me old-fashioned, but I'm guessing, Dean. I'm guessing, Dean.
Well, I'll tell you what, I showed more desire than some of our
Yeah,
defenders when I
there's
was
that.
defending. That is for certain. When I
Yeah.
played, thou shalt not pass. Yeah, so yeah, I'm expecting a good game. I'm hoping for a win naturally. I'm not sure how it's going to shape up in terms of Connell missing the game. That's another conundrum for us, and that was appalling. We're setting that sort of example to our young players as a captain. It wasn't very clever, was it, really, last night, in truth. So that'll be interesting because we're already a bit light in that area. I imagine Bland will play there, but who plays with him, I'm not sure. Um, Maybe we'll change the system a little bit. Doubt it, but we might. So yeah, good game ahead, I think.
Yeah, it does.
It's a funny game because they play for me. They're a good club. They're a nice club, a proper
Mm.
club that play football in the right way. And I like to watch them play football because they play it properly. Um,
Mm.
Stats are just ridiculous. I know a lot of people, I suppose me and all, like the stats, but they don't tell the real tale. If you look at the stats, away from home, they've won three and lost six away from home. As you said, Josh, they haven't drawn any. And if you look at their form for the last six games, they've lost one after the last six games, drawn two and won three. So they're doing well on that. You look at their away form of the last six games, and they've won two and lost four. So you could, if you just look at the away, think, oh, they've lost four out of six. That's not that great. But then when you look at it in the round, they've lost one out of six. And let's not forget, I mean, they've got Sean Clare, who I think
Mm.
always been a decent wherever he's going to be, whether it's a fullback, a wing back, or a midfielder, whatever. He's all right. And they've got one of my favourite defenders that's come from note. He spent
Oh,
so much of his career playing in non-league football, then made his name at a couple of clubs. For me, notably at Shrewsbury, and then with these about 180 odd games for these. Oma Beckles,
oh
that's a
yeah.
defender that's going to get it away. He's not blessed with much ability, but he is as a defender.
Mm.
He does what's got to be done. I always think he's going to make a pig's ear of it because you know, he's not Franz Beckenbauer, but it don't matter because he's effective. And I always think, come on, do something daft, and he don't. He don't. He gets stuck in. So, and let's be honest, I'm looking forward to it because one of our regular viewers and commenters, Phil Green, supports them, and he always tells us how they're getting on and what have you, and puts it in our comments on our shows. He talks about us and he likes us and what have you. And then he tells us what's going off with Orient. So keep it up, Phil. I hope you go away with a long face after Saturday, but I wish you well after that. So like him.
Yeah, it does feel like one of those games, Dean. Obviously, when you look at the table now, it's extremely congested. Where I think there's 3 points between us and Rotherham, who are down in 19th. Was it Doncaster? Sorry, it's down in 19th.
Mm.
At the minute, obviously 3 points separating us and them. I mean, Rotherham are currently playing now, but are 2-0 down, so they won't be leapfrogging us and sort of
Mm.
I'm
making that gap
gutted.
any bigger. But there is obviously a 6 point gap now between us and the top six. Granted, we have to
Yeah.
play Stevenage as one of his
Mm.
games in hand, and we only have one game in hand over Stevenage, so beating them would be a massive boost in terms of the league
Mm.
table. But it is starting to get a little bit tight where we are, because again, Exeter are only 5 points behind us, sort of
Mm.
occupying that last place outside the relegation zone.
Yeah, that is a worry when you start to sort of glance at least over your shoulder. And I don't particularly want that situation, nor does anybody else. I still think that when the games are settled and we've played Northampton, we've played Cardiff, we've played Stevenage, that I do think we'll sort of go up a fairly congested table quite significantly. Um, I think I don't think our defensive woes will necessarily go away anytime soon. But I do think if we can start to score goals when we're on top, which we seem to be very often, more often than not, in the first 45, we could have games won. And then we can, get 2 goals up and then attack on the transition, which we are good at, and we've got the players to do that. There's no two ways about it. So if we could, I think we'll be okay. I'm not really concerned. I know you look at the table and stuff. I always tend to look at the table on New Year's Eve, and I think that's always a fairly good bet as to where you are. It's usually about half the season gone. And I think we've got 4 games before the end of the year. If we get a reasonable tally of points from that, then I think things will look a little bit different. And I think we're more than capable of doing that. I mean, we've been a bit negative throughout this show about things, and understandably so, because we got done yesterday. But let's be fair. Had we not had that schoolboy defending over 3 minutes, we could well have won last night if we hadn't conceded that goal.
We'd have been lucky. I thought they outplayed. I thought they were better than us.
Well, yeah.
Although we had most possession, they were better than us.
But I thought we were in the ascendancy when we did that.
Yeah.
We could have won it. I'm not saying we would, but we could. So yeah, I'm nervous. Always nervous. I like to get 30 points at Christmas because that usually tells you that you're going to survive and take it from the next step from there. I mean, I think we've got winnable games between now and New Year's Day. I think they are winnable games, and I expect us to get a reasonable haul of points with the attacking players that we've got.
Andy, prediction? What do you reckon to Leyton Orient?
The problem is who's going to be playing. It can always vary, can't it? Which is why we get a lot of people predicting at the last minute, so that when they found out what the team is, which is try and do it early because I'm trying to watch the flipping game. I'll just say that. What can you say? I'm going to say it's 1-1. No, I'm not. 2-1 to us. Be bold. Be bold. Be bold.
Who saw that coming?
Oh man,
Dean.
You've had 24 hours to think about what you're going to predict. You don't have to do it during this. You've had ages to think about
it. 3-1.
Oh, you're just being silly. I think you're being silly.
3-1. How's that?
To us?
Bold.
Yeah. 3-1 to us.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I'll go. So much we want to say 0-0 because they've scored so many. So we don't keep clean sheets. I so want to say 0-0. I'll go with you, Andy. I'll go 2-1 to us. I'm going to go 2-2, but I'll change your mind. I'll go 2-1.
Oh, you can't keep going 2-2. You can't keep doing it. You and Tracy.
Have we even drawn a game 2-2 this season?
Actually, I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. No.
See, so that sounds to me like we're due one.
Oh, a Desmond. Due a Desmond.
Due one. Oh, dear.
Barnsley,
we're not going to score 2 goals if Beckles is playing. Get ready. Unless Beckles himself scores for us, which is always a possibility.
Drew 2-2. We've drawn 2-2 loads.
2-2 with Bradford.
2-2 with
Bradford. Oh, yeah, we did, yeah.
2-2 with Wickham.
Did we?
Both games that we threw away.
Yeah. 2-2 with York in pre-season friendlies.
You're getting the kiss of death. You know what's going to happen, Josh? They're going to be winning 2-1 till 7th minute or added time.
Yeah.
And then we're going to concede just to irritate me and you especially.
You know what? Now I've realised we've drawn 2-2 quite a bit. I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2.
2-2.
I'll change it to 2-2. You'll see my comment at 2:59 when I put 2-1. Change it back again for as well. Yeah. Right. We will be back on Saturday with our instant reaction outside the ground. If you want to come and jump on a fan cam, by all means, come and jump on. We'll be there just after the final whistle. So if you want to come on, by all means, come down and come and find Tom, who hopefully will remember the mics, because I feel like it's been a while since we've done an instant reaction outside the ground.
Can't remember.
So he's definitely due to forget summit. So I'll make sure to remind him before that. But yep, we're back on Saturday with our instant reaction. We'll see you there, you Reds.